This looks like good news for the administration.
Yes, this is good news. This is a report that means that the House does not have to go back and pass this contentious health care bill another time. Remember, the first time this bill passed, they only had about a 2 or 3 vote margin. They had to squeeze a couple of votes at the very end, and it was very concerning to several people who were involved in the process because they weren't sure if they'd be able to get the votes. This new score means that they will not have to go back and vote on it again. At the same time, the fact that 23 million people will not have health insurance, additional people who will not have health insurance under this bill, according to the CBO, means Democrats also see something that they can use in this report to attack this bill, to attack Republicans for, in their words, taking away health care from almost 23 million people. So something in this report for everyone.
Something in the report for everyone. You mentioned that this will not have to be sent back to the House to re-legislate. Toluse, does this mean that the Senate can now take it up? Because that hasn't happened yet.
Yes, this bill can now be sent over to the Senate. The Senate can take it up, and what we've been hearing is that senators have been meeting on a weekly basis, mostly not to take up this bill, but to start on their own bill, to start on their own process of trying to craft a health care bill that could get at least 50 votes in the Senate. You have to remember that Republicans only have 52 votes in the Senate, and there are several moderate Republicans who are not happy with the idea of cutting Medicaid or making other cuts that could leave some of their constituents without health insurance. So that's something that the Senate is working on. If there's a final product that makes it to President Trump's desk, it's likely to not look like the House version that just got scored. It will look very different.
And just a quick mention of another headline that's crossing your scene on your screen right there. According to the CBO, $834 billion less in Medicaid spending over the next decade under this House bill. Joe.
Arit, as you see major cuts to Medicaid, even if this is a little bit less, in terms relative to the first bill, we're still talking about pretty deep cuts to the number of people who would be uninsured relative to baseline. So what are the prospects now for things in the Senate?
The Senate is still going to write their own bill. They've said that, senators have said that the only CBO score that matters is the score on the Senate bill when that's done. And that bill still looks like it's a long ways away. McConnell said recently that getting to 50 votes in the Senate is harder than he thought it would be. That tax reform looks like it'll be an easier lift. So I think that seeing this score come out, 23 million uninsured, drastic cuts to Medicaid, there are at least 10 senators who are not happy at all about deep cuts to Medicaid because it'll affect their state so deeply.
Just to give us a sense here, Arit, too, of the kind of assumptions that are going to have to be made. I mean, even if we look at one of the main ones with Representative Tom MacArthur allowing states to opt out of certain Obamacare regulations if certain conditions are met. I mean, you have to make all sorts of assumptions about how many states you anticipate will do that going forward. Is this also going to be a potential weapon for the Democrats to come in and say, hey, we don't agree with these numbers?
Yeah, we've already seen that happening. People are saying this bill allows states to not protect people with pre-existing conditions, but we don't know which states will accept those waivers. And right now we've seen Governor Scott Walker saying he might look into that, but the Republicans who don't want the waivers to happen are being told that it's hard to get them. The conservatives, Freedom Caucus members are being told that the waivers are easy to get, and that's why they signed on to the bill. So it really depends on what happens, but states may face a lot of pressure to accept these waivers if the bill passes.
I want to bring up something else that's in this CBO report. They mentioned that the changes in premium would vary for different kinds of people, right? A change in the rules governing how much more insurers can charge older people than younger people would directly alter the premiums faced by different age groups. It would basically reduce premiums for young adults while raising premiums for older people. And certainly that's going to be a concern for constituents, Republican and Democrats alike.
And another detail that I'm reading, the agencies estimate that about 1/6 of the population currently resides in areas in which the non-group market, so the individual market, would start to become unstable. The market for insurance itself on the individual basis would become unstable beginning in 2020. Toluse, that sounds like a real structural issue there. What is the current stance of industry, of the health insurers, to this version of the bill?
Yeah, you heard almost universal opposition to the bill from doctors, from nurses, from health insurance companies, in part because of these strict and significant cuts to the funding that covered all of this. You have to remember that this bill also removes the individual mandate, which basically forces and requires individuals to get insurance. Once you take that off, you potentially remove a number of customers from the market, and that could affect how stable the individual markets are. If you listen to Republicans, they will say that the individual markets are already unstable under the current healthcare system because premiums have gone up so significantly and because deductibles have also gone up and a number of insurers have pulled out. So you're going to hear different messages from different sides of the aisle about what's best for the individual markets and what's best for the insurance companies. But that's part of the politics that you see here in Washington, and that's what we're going to be hearing as this bill goes over to the Senate and that process works its way through.